And off to the side here, we're going to write some steps. Okay. We have to find one factor. First step, you have to find one factor and write the division statement. To write the division statement, you're going to have to use synthetic division. This one's really nice because our constant term is a nice low number. If we look at the possible factors of 2, they're either 1 or 2. It's really quite easy, okay? Personally, again, I would above this write let P of x equal. I know that I could do synthetic division quickly for these, but for the ones, I might use my remainder theorem to be even quicker. So instead of doing synthetic division, I'm going to try plugging in 1 and see if it works. And I guarantee that some of these times when you plug something in, so 1 will be 3 minus 4 minus 5 plus 2, it doesn't work. Sometimes you're going to try something and find out, oh, that didn't work. But if you plugged in -1, then -1 cubed is negative. -1 squared is positive times -4 is -4. Plus 5 plus 2. This one equals 0. So we know that x plus 1 is a factor. And this is where we have to write, we found one factor, perfect. Once we found that factor, we have to write the division statement. So I have to use synthetic division for that. Put a -1 outside here. Coefficients are 3, -4, -5, and 2. Notice that they were in the right order, and I didn't have to add any zeros. Break down the 3, multiply, subtract, multiply, subtract, or sorry, not subtract, add, multiply, and add, and perfect, we got a remainder of 0. So our division statement P of x equals x plus 1 was the factor, and we're left with 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. So that's step 1. Step 2, repeat step 1 until you get a quadratic then factor normally. So in our example here, we got a quadratic. So we don't need to repeat step 1. Now we can go to the quadratic and factor this normally. Only way to get 3x squared, 3x and x. The only way to get 2 would be a 2 and a 1, but it makes a difference where you put the 2. I'd have to put 2 here, so my outside is 6x and my inside is 1x. To make -7, I need -6 minus 1, and now we've factored it completely. I'm going to show you an example where I'm going to show you an example, here we are. I'm going to show you an example where we have to repeat. So we'll do a little bit more. So if you want to write this down, you can. Here's an x to the 4 one. It's the same one that's in 9A in your homework, but in 9A it just asks you to find one factor. We're going to factor this one completely. I'll do it relatively quick. I'll get you to just, you can just listen and watch first, then I'll put it on the whole screen. If you want to write it down after, you can. Okay, so step one would be finding one factor. This may or may take you some time, because there's a 36 here, so your possible factors, there's a lot of them. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, right? And then when checking them, I would probably start with the ones. Unfortunately, if you tried the ones on this one, they don't work. I skipped some steps. I would have tried the ones, found out they didn't work, and finally got 2, and 2 works. So here's my synthetic division with a 2, and I could write my division statement. But when I write my division statement, I get an x cubed. So this is in the steps where it says you have to repeat the process. Now we have to go back to step 1 and redo things with f of x. Now my last term's an 18. So it could be 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. And again, I'll tell you one thing. If 1 didn't work for this one, 1 and -1 aren't going to work for this one. So then I would go back and try 2 and -2. In this case, -2 worked. I did the synthetic division for this f of x part. Got a remainder of 0. And then I would rewrite my division statement for p of x. But now I broke up this f of x part like this. And now I've got a quadratic equation, so I can factor that like normal to factor it completely. So if you have an x to the 4, you're going to have to repeat the process once to find a second factor. And you keep repeating the process until you get to a quadratic equation, and then you can solve it completely. Okay, the ones I want you to circle. Did I give you any questions to circle for number 2? Okay, I'll just give you all the questions. So for questions 2, it was 10A and 12. And for example 3, 5, 11, 9, and 10B.